If you've stumbled upon this video, you probably already know that Chimera Isle is a game for sale on the Game Crafter. But maybe you've never had the good fortune to actually play the game, and the rules don't really give you a good idea of what to expect. That's what this video is for. We're going to start by summarizing the game and its components, and finish with some sample gameplay. At the end, you may not know exactly how to play, but you'll at least know what to expect. Disclaimer. As the designer of Chimera Isle, I am by no means objective. If you're looking for a review, then look elsewhere. The setting is Chimera Isle. The players are aloof and capricious nature spirits, who influence the ecology and compete for influence over the island's native fauna, the chimeras. Chimera Isle is really two games, joined at the hip. The first is a simple voting game, where one player chooses a habitat, and everyone votes which chimera is best adapted to that region. The fittest chimera, by popular vote, wins the habitat, and gains population chips at the expense of its competition. The strongest chimeras thrive, while the weakest face a slow, dismal descent into extinction. By voting for the winner in every round, players gain influence. By investing their influence in successful chimeras, players become stakeholders in a Darwinian struggle for supremacy. The second half is a bit like a stock market manipulation game, where players speculate on the future of the ecosystem. This can lead to some tricky decisions, as everything has its cost, and some of the chimeras may not pay out in the end. The most successful players will be the ones who can separate the winners from the losers, spend their chips wisely, and hold just enough in reserve to protect against a hostile takeover. Of course, having more chips than everyone else helps too, which is why the voting game is so important. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the components. The Chimera cards are the heart of the game. They were illustrated by cartoonist, naturalist, and toy collector Jonathan Warsick. There are an even number of heads, bodies, and tails, and at the start of the game, a number of cards are randomly combined to create unique chimeras. Equally important are the habitat cards. These are locations on the island where the chimeras fight for supremacy. Each habitat has a name, a criterion for deciding fitness, and original card art. A number of these cards are drawn at random every round, so given all the possible combinations of chimeras and habitats in the game, every game is guaranteed to be different. To decide which chimera is best at what, players vote in secret from a hand of voting cards. On one side is a color and symbol corresponding to a single chimera. The back of each card is identical. Chimeras are played to these mats, made of thick cardstock. These mats define the color of a chimera, its symbol, body, population, shares of influence, and claimed habitats. These tokens represent shares of influence in a particular chimera. They are numbered 1 to 5 to represent their cost and relative value. Players need to collect these to score points. These plastic chips come in two colors, black and white. The black chips are currency for the investment game. The white chips are population counters belonging to the chimeras themselves. Paper bills of multiple denominations represent the points earned by players at the end of each round of play. Finally, the black pawn is passed around the table. Whoever holds the pawn is the leader of that round. The leader chooses which territory the chimeras will compete over next, and breaks ties when voting. Here's what the game looks like when set up. Let's play through the first turn. First, the leader has to choose a habitat from among any of those on the table. Once a habitat is chosen, the spoils are placed on the card along with population. All chimeras ante in one or more population chips. Now players vote. Table talk is allowed, but all votes are secret. Once everyone has set a card down, votes are simultaneously revealed. It looks like two of our three players thought alike. The green chimera wins the territory and all of the population chips. The first population chip is added to the crown symbol, representing green's conquest of a territory. The remainder are added to its population pool. Beyond 6 population, additional chips spill over onto a second stack. Beyond 12, a third stack is created. Because it now has 2 population stacks, Green will ante in 2 population next turn. The 2 players who voted for green divide 6 influence chips equally between themselves, 3 chips each. The player who voted differently failed to influence the outcome and doesn't gain any chips. Between voting rounds, players invest. Starting with the leader and going around the table, each player can take 1 action. A player may buy a share from the table for its face value. The share is placed in front of the player, while the chips are placed where the share rested originally. In a hostile takeover bid, one player indicates that he would like to claim a share held by another player, and pledges a number of chips larger than its previous cost. The current shareholder now has a choice to challenge or resist. If the shareholder challenges the bid, he demands his opponent reveal the chips he had pledged. If he can do so, the takeover bid is successful. The shareholder loses control of the share to his opponent. He recovers his original investment of chips, while his opponent adds his chips to the same space. If the defender resists instead, he adds a number of black chips to his pile to match his attacker. The takeover attempt is thwarted. Because black chips are concealed until played, players can pledge more chips than they actually have to take over a share. This is known as bluffing. If the defender resists, the bluff succeeds. The attacker fails to claim a share, but he forces the defender to waste chips unnecessarily. If the shareholder challenges, however, his opponent must reveal that he does not have enough chips to meet his pledge. In fact, as a penalty, he must show all players how few chips he holds. A player can always pass and take no action. It's good to have a few chips in reserve at all times in case someone tries to steal your shares. Let's fast forward to the end of the round. A typical game is 3 rounds of 7 turns each. 1 of the 8 habitats will not be played. At the end of the round, scoring happens. All players score points for the shares they control. Each share is worth 2 points for each territory a Chimera claimed this round. Some shares may be worthless. The number printed on a share has nothing to do with its point value. Every share is equally valuable for this purpose. In addition, players score for patronage. Being the patron of a Chimera means having more influence than any other player. Influence is determined first by number of shares, second by total face value of shares, and third by largest share. The 5 share is more valuable than the 1 for the purposes of determining patronage. Winning patronage means earning your Chimera's population in additional points. The highest scoring player at the end of 3 rounds wins. Hopefully this video has helped you understand Chimera Isle a little bit better. It's difficult to compare this game to anything in particular. Were it a try, I would say it has the pretty pictures and voting mechanics of Dixit, the expansive theme of dominant species, the subtle psychological trickery of poker, and the investment strategy of Acquire. My goal was to make a game that could be played with a wide range of players, from families with children to dedicated gamers. If you enjoy the concept, pick up the game, or tell your friends. Small indie productions like this one only survive by word of mouth. Thank you.